AI is moving so fast these days, it's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. We've got GPT-4o from OpenAI, China's got DeepSeek v3, and now Elon Musk's company, xAI, just dropped Grok-3. And people are going crazy about it. But the big question is Grok-3 really that good? Could it actually beat GPT-4o? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So, what is Grok-3? It's the latest AI from xAI, and they're saying it's a massive upgrade from Grok-2, like, way smarter. It's really good at math, science, coding, and a bunch of other stuff. But what makes it stand out? Well, first, it's got something called Big Brain Mode. Imagine you're trying to solve a really tricky puzzle, and you take a deep breath and really focus. Grok-3 does the same thing. When a question is extra tough, it spends more time thinking to get a better answer. Then, there's Deep Search. Instead of just finding answers, it actually explains why they're right, step by step, like a really smart friend who makes sure you understand. But the crazy part? The power behind it. xAI has built these massive AI centers with super powerful machines. One is in Atlanta with over 12,000 high-powered computers, and another one in Memphis, which they call Colossus. It's one of the biggest AI setups ever. And they're not stopping there. They're pulling in billions of dollars to keep expanding, so they're really serious about this. Now, how can you use Grok-3? Well, right now, it's not available in all countries, but if it is available in your country, you can use it on the X app or website. Alright, now let's get to the fun part, Grok-3 versus GPT-4o. We're gonna throw the same questions at both of them, art generation, random facts, tricky problems, and see who comes out on top. Is Grok-3 faster? Does GPT-4o explain things better? Which one surprises us the most? Both of them have similar features, they can search the web, and they each have their own way of thinking before answering. But when it comes to voice mode, that's something only GPT-4o has right now. Grok-3 doesn't have it yet, but they say it's coming soon. So, which one is actually better? Let's put them to the test and find out. So, I asked both AI models the same 6 questions to see which one gives a better answer. Let's jump right in. First question, a simple math problem to test their basic math skills. And I didn't just test them once, I tried it in 2 different ways. First, I used their think mode, and then I ran the same test without any mode at all. So, here's the question, a store has a sale where everything is 20% off. If a shirt costs $25 before the sale, how much does it cost after the discount? Alright, first up, GPT-4o in think mode. It keeps things short and simple, calculates 20% of $25, which is $5, then subtracts that from the original price, so $25 minus $5 equals $20. Boom, that's it. Super clear, straight to the point, no extra fluff. Now, let's check out Grok-3's answer. Grok-3 took a different approach. It gave a much more detailed explanation, breaking the problem into 2 methods. First, it did the same thing as GPT-4o, found the discount, subtracted it, and got $20. But then, it also calculated 80% of the original price directly, showing another way to solve it. And just to be extra sure, it even added a verification step to confirm the answer. So at this stage, Grok-3 felt more thorough, while GPT-4o was faster and more efficient. Now, I ran the same question again, but this time, I turned off think mode for both. And here's what happened, GPT-4o quickly calculated 20% of $25 as $5, subtracted it, and got $20. Super quick, super clean, no extra details. And Grok-3? Well, this time it didn't go into all that extra explanation, it did exactly what GPT-4o did, calculated the discount, subtracted it, and gave the answer just as fast. So what did we learn? With think mode on, Grok-3 gave a more detailed breakdown, while GPT-4o kept things short and straight to the point. But without think mode, they were basically the same, quick, direct, and efficient. So, final ratings. GPT-4o with think mode, 8.5 out of 10. It was fast and efficient, but not super detailed. Grok-3 with think mode, 9 out of 10. It was more detailed and educational, but maybe a little too much for such a simple problem. Now, without think mode, GPT-4o gets a 9 out of 10, quick, straight to the point. And Grok-3? Same thing, 9 out of 10, just as fast as GPT-4o this time. So, what's the takeaway? If you just want the answer, you really don't need think mode, it won't make much difference, and you can use either one. But if you like a more detailed explanation, turning on think mode in Grok-3 gives you that extra reasoning. Alright, let's move on to the next test. This time, I wanted to test general knowledge, specifically curiosity and factual recall. So, I used the web search mode on both tools to see how well they could pull in information. The question was, what's the tallest mountain in the world, and how tall is it? And here's what happened. GPT-4o gave a well-structured, highly informative response. It didn't just stop at the official height of Mount Everest, 8,848.86 meters or 29,031.7 feet, but also went beyond the basic answer. It brought up some really interesting facts, like how Mauna Kea in Hawaii is technically the tallest mountain when measured from base to peak, surpassing Everest. It even mentioned that Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador is actually the farthest point from the Earth's center due to the planet's equatorial bulge. And the best part? It kept things concise, to the point, and even backed everything up with sources like Wikipedia and NOAA, which added credibility. Now, Grok-3 also gave a detailed response, but here's where things got a little different. It was significantly longer, like, a lot longer, and while it was packed with details, some of them felt a bit unnecessary for a simple question. It did include the correct updated height of Mount Everest. 8,849 meters or 29,032 feet, based on the 2020 measurement, but then it went deep into historical background, talking about how Everest's height was measured in the past and how surveying techniques have evolved. It also explained why Mauna Kea is taller from base to peak and why Chimborazo is farther from the Earth's center. On top of that, it even included a full measurement table comparing Everest, Mauna Kea, Chimborazo, and K2. And it didn't stop there, it also talked about the cultural and climbing aspects, like how many people have summited Everest and the role of Sherpas in guiding climbers. And while all of this was really interesting, it was a lot. The response felt overloaded, especially for someone who just wanted a quick answer. But one thing Grok-3 did really well was provide solid sources. It pulled citations from Wikipedia, Britannica, National Geographic, and BBC Science Focus, making sure the information was well supported. So, how did they compare? Accuracy-wise, both were spot on, though Grok-3 included more recent measurements. When it came to depth of explanation, GPT-4o was concise yet informative, while Grok-3 took a much deeper dive into the history and science behind the question. Readability? GPT-4o was clear and straight to the point, while Grok-3, although informative, was just a bit too much for a simple factual answer. And in terms of relevance, GPT-4o stayed laser-focused on the main points, whereas Grok-3 added so much extra information that it might not be necessary for someone just looking for a quick answer. Final ratings, GPT-4o gets a 5 out of 5. It was well-structured, concise, and informative without overwhelming the reader. Grok-3? I'd give it a 4 out of 5. It was super detailed and accurate, but a bit too long and complex for a straightforward question. So, in the end, both tools did really well, but if you just want a quick, clear answer, GPT-4o takes the lead. But if you're the kind of person who loves a deep dive into historical data, surveys, and comparisons, Grok-3 gives you a lot more, but at the cost of readability. Now, let's move into our third question, and this one is all about storytelling, creativity, and maybe even a touch of humor. We asked both GPT-4 and Grok-3 to tell us a short story about a dog who learns to fly, no special rules, just a simple request. And oh boy, did they deliver. So, let's break them down and see which AI takes the storytelling crown. First up, GPT-4 story, The Flying Pup. We meet Max, an adventurous little pup with a big dream, he wants to fly. He tries everything, jumping off fences, flapping his paws like wings, even tying balloons to his back. But nothing works. That is, until he meets Oliver, an old, wise owl, who gives him one simple lesson: believe. With enough determination, practice, and just the right gust of wind, Max finally catches the air and glides through the sky, proving that sometimes, if you believe in yourself, the impossible becomes possible. Short, sweet, and packed with that classic believe in your dreams kind of magic. Simple but effective. Now, let's talk about Grok-3's take, Milo and the Magic Kite. This one's got a bit more of a whimsical twist. Milo, a scruffy little brown dog, dreams of soaring through the sky. One day, out of nowhere, a mysterious wind blows a magical kite right into his paws. And get this, the kite whispers to him. Yes, whispers. It tells him to trust the wind. So, with a leap, Milo grabs the kite's strings, and suddenly, he's flying. At first, he's tumbling through the clouds, completely out of control, but after a few hilarious crashes and near misses, he finds his balance. Soon, he's soaring gracefully, and the village kids below watch in total awe as Milo and his kite become a local legend. It's got that animated movie feel, full of adventure, wonder, and a little sprinkle of magic. So, how do they compare? Well, for creativity, GPT-4 keeps it classic and heartwarming, with a wise mentor and a moral lesson, while Grok-3 goes full-on fantasy with a talking kite and a mystical vibe. Honestly, edge to Grok-3 for uniqueness. Humor? Neither story is laugh-out-loud funny, but Grok-3's version has that playful, animated energy. Milo crashing into birds and tumbling through the sky adds a bit more fun, so I'd say slight edge to Grok-3 here too. Now, when it comes to storytelling and engagement, both are great, but Grok-3's version feels a little more immersive, with more vivid imagery and suspense. GPT-4's is more of a classic fable, while Grok-3's feels like something straight out of a children's book or an animated short film. So, final verdict? If you're looking for a simple, motivational tale, GPT-4's The Flying Pup does the job beautifully. But if you want something with that extra sprinkle of storytelling magic, Milo and the Magic Kite from Grok-3 take the win. Alright, now let's move on to our fourth question. This time, we wanted to see how well they could simplify a complex idea, especially for a 5-year-old. So, we asked them a fun but tricky question: how does rain happen? And we kept it simple, no special modes, just a regular prompt to see how clearly and engagingly they could explain it. And let me tell you, they both had some interesting takes. First up, GPT-4's answer. It kept things simple and straight to the point. It started with a relatable comparison: the sun is like a big warm lamp that heats up water from lakes, rivers, and oceans. As the water warms up, it turns into tiny, invisible bits called water vapor and floats up into the sky. Once it gets way up high, where the air is colder, these tiny water bits come together and form clouds. And when the clouds get too full and heavy, boom! The water falls back down as rain. Then, to tie it all together, GPT-4 wrapped up by explaining that this keeps happening again and again, calling it the water cycle. Super clear, super structured, and definitely easy to follow. Now, let's talk about Grok-3's answer. This one took a much more playful approach. It compared the world to a giant kitchen, with the sun acting like a warm stove. Water in lakes and oceans heats up, just like a pot on the stove, and turns into steam, tiny little balloons floating up into the sky. And once they're up there, the sky is cold, like a fridge. The cold air hugs the tiny water bits, making them stick together into little droplets. And these droplets don't just float around, they team up with dust and smoke, like tiny little helpers, to form clouds. And when the clouds get too full, plop, plop, the rain falls down, like the clouds giving the earth a big drink. Now, both explanations were great, but I've got to say, Grok-3's playful storytelling made rain feel exciting and magical. The fun comparisons, the stove, the fridge, the tiny balloons, plus the sound effects, the interactive feel, it's exactly the kind of thing a 5-year-old would eat up. Meanwhile, GPT-4 kept things clean and structured, but maybe a little too straightforward for a kid. So for this round? Gotta give it to Grok-3. Alright, now let's dive into the art and image generation side of things. We wanted to compare the image quality and capability of both models using the exact same prompt. And the prompt we gave them? A realistic picture of an Indian middle-aged woman waving the Indian flag. So first, let's check out what GPT-4, DALL-E, came up with. And wow, it's a stunning digital painting. Super detailed, rich colors, dramatic lighting. The sari? Full of intricate patterns. The woman's expression? Warm, inspiring, it really gives off that artistic and emotional feel, almost like a high-quality portrait painting you'd see in a gallery. Now, let's take a look at what Grok-3 generated. This one leans more photo-like. The lighting feels natural, and there's a soft countryside background that makes it look authentic. The sari is vibrant, but not quite as detailed as DALL-E's. The woman looks realistic, though the overall depth feels a bit flatter compared to the artistic richness we saw in GPT-4's image. So, what's the takeaway? Well, DALL-E absolutely nails artistic depth, giving us a rich, dramatic feel, but it leans more towards a painting-like style rather than a true photograph. Meanwhile, Grok-3 captures a natural, realistic vibe, more like an actual photo, but it doesn't have that same artistic richness and emotional depth that DALL-E delivers. Alright, let's test them with another prompt. This time, we wanted to see how they handle a lively family gathering. First up, GPT-4's image, and wow, again. Super vibrant, incredibly detailed, almost like a high-end digital painting. The lighting? Warm. The expressions? Lively. And the food? Rich, appetizing, looks absolutely delicious. But here's the thing, it has that storybook-like feel, almost like an illustration from a beautiful animated film. The downside? It doesn't look like a real photo. It's more of an artistic representation than something you'd capture with a camera. Now, over to Grok-3. This time, it delivers a much more natural and realistic image, definitely feels like an actual photograph of a family. The colors and lighting are cozy, and the setting feels intimate. The food looks great, but compared to DALL-E's version, it's a bit simpler and not as dramatically detailed. And while it's got that realism, it doesn't have the grand, lively energy of DALL-E's image. So, bottom line? If you want a lively, detailed, storybook-style image, GPT-4, DALL-E, takes the win. But if you're looking for something that feels like a real, natural photo, Grok-3 delivers. Alright, so after comparing GPT-4 and Grok-3, one thing is crystal clear, these two AI tools are more alike than they are different. There's no massive gap between them, it's like the AI version of Ronaldo and Messi. Both are top tier, both have their strengths, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to preference. But here's the thing, it's not really about competition or picking a winner. What really matters is how AI keeps evolving, getting better, and making our lives easier. And as these tools keep improving, we're the ones who benefit. So, what's the best approach? Simple. Use the tool that works best for you. Whether it's GPT-4 or Grok-3, just go with what fits your needs. And that's a wrap. If you've made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which AI do you prefer? Or do you think they're just two sides of the same coin? Drop a comment below, let's talk.